and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2023-24 season. My name is Dan and it's time for our weekly episode of the 100 Experts. We're going to see what the 100 experts are doing in Game Week 12 to see what trends we can find in terms of captaincy, transfers and even chips. This is a very crazy episode. I can't wait to share with you the captaincy in particular. It's mad. Honestly, it's mad. Let's get started. I'm very excited. So first of all, a massive shout out to the 100 FPL experts, pundits and content creators that helped us out this week. There's a lot of people in this list in the top 1,000 ranks right now. So really looking forward to get their insights into what we're doing. And just like these guys are so helpful for giving us this content. I really do think they're so helpful people and just lovely people. So yes, shout out to these people. Let's see what they're doing. Okay, so on overview here, 49% of them are making one transfer this week. 22% are making two transfers. So it's definitely a week to be making transfers by the looks of things. We've got just one person using their wildcard this week, so not really a wildcard week in general, no trends there, and one person using their bench boost as well. We're always going to see these random outliers now and again with those chip uses. I would be worried if there was not outliers in here, because that would suggest that there was some kind of group think, and I don't think there is. Different people going different paths, but I still want to put their data together to try and get an average, some trends. That's what we're going to do today. And 28%, of course, not making a transfer at all. So there is still a decent quantity of our experts choosing to roll their transfer. There's even one expert actually choosing to burn a transfer. They've got two transfers in the bank. They love their team so much, they're not even going to make a transfer. So we'll see what happens come deadline. But right now, you know, there is some argument to say don't make a transfer if you like your squad right now. But if you don't, there's definitely a few transfers we could be making, and we're going to talk about them today. Alright, so as always, we're going to go through the most popular Game Week 12 transfers in the world, and it's been a wild week for transfers so far. A lot of people making knee-jerk moves after last game week. Last game week was so terrible for so many people that it often causes a ripple effect, a reaction, and in general, Game Week 12, the game week after a terrible game week, will be a bit nuts, and we are going to see that further on in this video. But first of all, the overall trend suggests that Doku is the most popular player to bring in by some distance. He's a super popular transfer in this week, and you can tell why. It's because he scored a load of points last game week. Nketiah is up there as well. He plays Burnley. Mitchell is there. We've got Bowen up there as well. Anderson and Saliba also complete the top 6 for most popular transfers in the world. But with this crazy game week just gone by, are we going to see a difference between our experts thinking and the general FPL player base thinking? Well, we are a little bit. So here are the players who are popular with experts as well as popular in the overall player base. And they are Nketiah, Mitchell, Bowen, Saliba and Saka. All of these players showing significant interest among our experts as well. So there is some correlation, there's some crossover here. But you can see a lot of players on this list. I mean, there's no interest at all, really, for a lot of these players, or very little interest among our experts. Well, what about Doku? He's not got a significant amount of transfers among our experts. Has he got any? Well, let's see. Well, actually, yes, he has. One person is transferring in Doku. 2 people are transferring in Trippier. But as for Anderson, Watkins, Son, Wilson, and Salah, none of our experts are transferring in these players. And in fairness, I think certainly with Watkins, Son, and Salah, if you already have these players, you'll probably keep them. But if you don't have them, would you want them at this point? I'm not necessarily sure they would be the players you would directly go for necessarily, but there's certainly going to be players who are popular among our experts that already have them, but not necessarily players they're transferring in this week. Anderson is an interesting one, I think, just because he is quite expensive compared to like Mitchell and Gahey. Probably doesn't provide value for money. Experts don't really like him, and Wilson is suspected to be injured this game week as well, so none of our experts are going in on the injured man Wilson. So yeah, with that said, we do need to quickly mention Doku because one person is going for him, and I just want to point this out. Game week 11, because it was so crazy, it has made a lot of people go crazy and make crazy transfers. And I think what we're going to see here is our experts are going to be much more level-headed, less reactionary, less knee-jerky, particularly when you have an outlier game week, a game week that is so bizarre, it's so strange, it's important not to react to that too much, and therefore Doku is not being significantly brought in by our experts. Now, it's not to say Doku is a bad transfer necessarily. He's not great. I expected our experts to be interested in him a tiny bit, and they are, but in general, there's lots of better picks to go for right now. So look at the overall, look at what's going on, what's happened in weeks and weeks gone by, rather than just focusing on one crazy, terrible game week 11. So let's look at popular transfers out. Maddison is a popular transfer out. We're not sure if he's going to be available for this game week or not. He hasn't been pictured in training with the Spurs team this week so far. So that's kind of a bad sign, I guess. So it could be that he is unavailable for this weekend. But we're not exactly sure. But a lot of our experts are planning to move Maddison out regardless whether he is injured or not. So a super popular transfer out. 20 transfers out. That's going to be the majority of the Maddison owners right now. So yeah, maybe a player to move on there. We've got Burn. Obviously, he is injured. So a lot of people moving him out. He's going to be out for months, so definitely a player you want to move on. Adogi is suspended and then has bad fixtures after that. Cash, he is available, but obviously has not been scoring very well recently. So again, a player maybe you could consider removing. Alvarez, he's been disappointing recently, and a couple of other players like Diaby, Ward-Prowse, and actually 3 transfers out for Mbeumo, which I'm super surprised about, and I can't say I back that one personally. However, it is what it is. Mbeumo is being transferred out by just a couple of our experts as well. But in general, it seems like Maddison and Burn are the 2 main players you want to be transferring out this week. Who should we replace them with? Well, Saka. Yes, Saka is the most popular transfer in ahead of game week 12. Obviously, fantastic fixture against Burnley. We know Saka has been good in general this season, even if his form has dropped off just a little bit recently. In general, he's been really, really good. So, yeah, Saka is definitely a player who is of interest to a lot of people. We've got Saliba in here as well, so another Arsenal player. In fact, the 2 most popular transfers in of the game week are Arsenal players. A lot of people have been asking this week, I've got a problem in defence. I've got Burn. I've got Adogi. I've got Romero. I've got Van der Ven. You know, all of these players. Maybe you've still got Botman. Maybe you don't want to have Cash in your team anymore. All of these defenders are on the chopping block, and therefore they're being transferred out. We need to find a replacement. Well, our experts say that Saliba is the best replacement for him. So, yeah, why not go for him? But on the topic of midfielders, I know a lot of people are going for Saka, but Bowen is definitely an option there as well. 10 transfers in for him, so he's not too far behind Saka, really. Saka is probably your preference, but if you can't quite afford him, Bowen is definitely an option there as well. And we've got some other defenders in here as well. Lascelles at 4 million, really, really popular pick, whilst Botman is out. 10 transfers in for him. A couple other defenders I may as well mention. We've got Mitchell and Gahey, the 2 Crystal Palace defenders. They're going to have some significant interest there. Combined transfers in is pretty significant. So Crystal Palace, obviously a defence we want to be invested in, and Gabriel is there as well. So if you can't quite afford Saliba or you want to save the money, then Gabriel is maybe going to be an option for you as well. We've got Nketiah here, 8 transfers in for him. He's the only forward on this particular list. So the most popular forward being transferred in, and really the only forward of any interest this game week. Like I kind of said it, I think in yesterday's video, it is going to be a game week more transferring defenders and midfielders rather than forwards, but Nketiah is in there if you do need the new forward, and Gordon slips in there at the bottom as well. With Wilson potentially injured, Gordon could be playing as the central striker against Bournemouth, which could definitely be interesting if nothing else. So let's suggest some transfers for you based on that data. We've got the Maddison out move, and it's going to be Saka or Bowen. These are going to be the players you want to bring in for Maddison. So yeah, that's what I'm going to suggest to you guys. If you have Maddison, you want to move him on, or you have another midfielder you want to move on, Saka and Bowen are going to be your top replacements here. I'm going to do a little quick shout out to the forward transfer, Julian Alvarez to Nketiah. That's pretty much the only forward move that you could potentially make this week, unless you have like a forward that you really don't like in your team. Maybe you still got Morris or something like that, or you want to upgrade an Archer on your bench and bring in Nketiah, then that's going to be an option as well. Nketiah against Burnley could do pretty well. So Arsenal boys, it is the week of the Arsenal boys, and that trend is going to continue on our second page of suggested transfers. Because if you've got a Burn or an Adogi or a Romero or whoever else, you want to make a defender's transfer, Saliba is going to be top of our list. So yes, Saliba, yes, go for him if you want a new defender. That's what our experts reckon. But if that is going to be a problem in terms of budget, there are some other options. Lascelles is your super cheap choice. If you are happy to go for a 4 million defender, and understand that it is a short-term pick because Botman is going to be back eventually. We don't know exactly when. Maybe it could be another month, could be less. But yeah, Lascelles could be a good player to have in the short term. Get those Newcastle clean sheets for a nice cheap price. And Mitchell, Tyrick Mitchell, if you'll fancy a Crystal Palace defender as well. Mitchell and Gahey both have really good fixtures over the next 4 game weeks, so you can still capitalise on that by going for a Crystal Palace defender right now. But now it's time to talk about captains. This is what I've been waiting for, because I'm not even joking. In all of the time of doing this 100 Expert series, which is over 2 years now we've been doing this series, this is the craziest captaincy page I have ever created. based on the experts' data. The experts have gone crazy for captains, and just look at this, guys. All right, so the expert top Game Week 12 captain picks. Well, we do, first of all, let's get this out of the way. We do have Salah at the top, 57%. So that is going to be the favorite, the most popular captain, the sensible pick if you want, the template pick if you like. If you fancy something nice and straightforward, you don't want a headache, you don't want a decision to make, you don't want to take a risk, Salah is going to be your answer for captaincy. He plays against Brentford at home. We all know that we do often back Liverpool at home, Salah at home, and with those penalties and everything else, you know, you've always got a chance of getting some decent returns from him. He's just a great FPL asset. We know he's the king of FPL, don't we? But he is not the only person on this list, because if you're not going for Salah, after that, it gets a bit crazy. You either pick Salah or you go for a crazy differential. And that seems to be the theme here, because we've got a further 9 different captain options above 2%. Which is more than we've ever had before. This is the most different captain shouts above 2% we have ever had on this series. Seriously, guys, 13% on Saka, so there is a little bit of popularity behind him, a little bit of a trend there against Burnley, but does Saka have the form to pull it off? Maybe not, but he certainly has the fixture, and I think that's going to be a growing trend on this differentials list. We're playing fixtures rather than the form, and Saka against Burnley, maybe he gets a penalty. If Ødegaard's not playing in the game, then maybe that's going to be a better opportunity for Saka to step up and take the penalty. That could be interesting. Got Erling Haaland, probably not a fixture pick really, but we know that Haaland is always going to be on these lists, to be honest, guys, don't we? Like, he's just like a guy who is always a consideration for captaincy, no matter who he is playing. So he is here at number 3. After that, it goes wild, and it really is mostly about trying to kind of tackle these fixtures. So we've got Trippier on 5%. I never saw that one coming at all. I thought maybe 1 or 2 people would go really crazy with Trippier, but 5 out of 100, pretty significant there against Bournemouth. Gordon, didn't even see this one coming at all. Never expected anyone to be captaining Gordon. This one has really caught me by surprise. I never even considered it, but this is why these videos are so great, because, you know, yes, it's kind of me creating the videos, but ultimately the research is based on other people and what other people are doing, and sometimes you can get some great ideas from other people that, you know, you don't think of, and it's just quite wild to say that Gordon, you know, he's potentially playing as a striker in this easy attacking game against Bournemouth for a great attack like Newcastle. He's a midfielder, so he's going to be getting extra points for goals, a clean sheet point potentially there as well. It actually kind of makes sense in a way. I actually kind of understand it. I just never would have come up with that idea myself. We've got a load of 2%ers here. We've got Bruno Fernandes against Luton, playing the fixture, I guess, and on the back of Luton, Bernardo Silva, Bruno Fernandes' goal last game week. Calvin Mitoma against Sheffield United, again playing the fixture, and Nketiah against Burnley, maybe hoping for a repeat of that Sheffield United game from Nketiah. We've got Son against Wolves, who I think if there wasn't such a disaster in Game Week 11 for Spurs, then maybe Son would be a bit more popular against Wolves, because that is a good fixture and a good player. So yeah, it's kind of surprising in a way to see him so low. He's one of my favourite captain picks of the game week, and Watkins on just 2% as well. Like, Watkins, like, again, not really a player I strongly considered, but we've got 2% on there as well. And after all of that, there is one 1%er as well. So we've got Jarrod Bowen. One person is also going for Jarrod Bowen this game week as their captain. So there you go, guys. It's a really wild week in terms of captaincy. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. I would love to hear why you think the captaincy has gone so crazy. Is it because people, obviously, they like Salah as a captain, but then maybe not fully convinced by Salah because his performances haven't been, you know, at the next level necessarily, and the fixture isn't amazing, and therefore they're looking elsewhere, trying to find a captain that they might want to go for, but actually no one really stands out. You know, Haaland doesn't have a great fixture, Saka's not been in great form, you know, we don't really have any other captain options other than maybe Son, who just had a disaster with Spurs. Maddison might be out, so that might affect Son. You know, we've got some other players injured and suspended for Spurs right now, so maybe that's going to be a difficult situation for them. There's just no standout captaincy aside from just defaulting to Salah, as we often do. We default to Salah, we default to Haaland. Is that what's going on right now? I guess maybe, but people are going crazy, and I would love to hear some of your crazy captain shouts as well in the comment section. So let me know who you are captaining. Is it boring Salah, or are you going for one of these interesting differentials, or maybe one that isn't even on this list? Would love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this one, make sure you drop a like for the 100 Experts videos. I love these videos. I hope you guys do as well. And if you do, let me know by leaving a like. Do subscribe if you want to see this every single game week. But aside from that, make sure you check out another video. There's loads of videos on the channel. We've done loads of Game Week 12 content already. So, yeah, you're always going to have something to watch if you are in the mood for FPL. But aside from that, guys, thank you so much for watching once again. And I will see you later, mates. Bye-bye.